You're listening to the Convene Connections podcast with your host, Matthew Curry.
And hello, everybody. I hope you are doing well tonight. I'm here with one of my best friends in the world, Eugene Brown. How are you tonight, Eugene?
I am better than I should be. So I'm doing absolutely fantastic.
So, Eugene, we were just talking about before we got started. I'm not sure if anybody's paying attention to the news. I mean, the topic of the night is successful investing. If anybody's paying attention to the news and what's going on, that there's ever been a more timely podcast that we've ever done than this one.
Yeah, I would agree. Just a lot going on today with retail investors, the SEC, and big companies.
Exactly. So we'll get to that here in just a little bit. But for those who are watching for the first time, just introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about yourself, about you, your family. I mean, you can bring in that Army thing if you want to, but I don't know if that helps. But go ahead.
Well, I'm Eugene Brown. Make my home in the Charlotte, North Carolina area. Married to my lovely wife, Brandy. Have 4 children: dog, cat, house, hamster. And I'm a graduate of the University of Tampa. Served in the United States Army as a young officer during the first Gulf War. And again, I've been here in the Charlotte area for about 30 years now. So just try to focus on taking care of the family, try to stay healthy, COVID free.
Yeah, exactly. COVID free. That's the key. You and I, we've been working together for a long time. You've been a huge part of Convene Communities really for the last 4 years. And where we were, where we've come, you're in charge of your community. We'll talk about that mostly tonight, but you're in charge of our affiliate program. You've helped with a lot of the trainings. People see you all the time in the videos with me. So I just want to say thank you for being a part of that. And things are really going good. We're looking at growing. Everything's going really well. But let's just jump right in and talk about a little bit about COVID. Let's talk about how COVID kind of refocused some of the things you were doing and got you going back into the investment world.
Yeah, I used to drive for Uber for about 5 years. And I started driving for Uber so I could focus on the family, focus on business, and control my own schedule. And I tried different things from, affiliate marketing, network marketing, in and out of investing. But with COVID, hitting a lot of people hard, it made me obviously not want to drive.
Yeah.
And so, I found myself in a place really needing to make some changes as far as income. And because of my background with investing, I decided it was time to do what I believed I would be able to do, and that was trade stocks successfully.
So it wasn't your first time trading stocks, right? So you have a little bit of a background, a little bit of a history. So it wasn't like you were going into something that you had no clue about, and you just looked at this little object over here called the stock market and said, hey, let me go jump in.
No, yeah, exactly. When I was in college, 87, the stock market crashed. Have always been very, very interested in the stock market. And once I got to Germany, I began investing about $1,800 a month in mutual funds. And when I got back to the States, I continued on a bit with that, but began to invest in individual stocks. The problem for me, I wasn't disciplined enough, didn't have the right skill set fully, lacked in vision, lacked in emotional balance, didn't treat my money as importantly as I should have, and then therefore lost it. And so I would be up, down, get money, lose the money, get money, lose the money. And I did that for a while.
Yeah. So one of the words you use to me a lot is the word patience. You didn't have the patience, and you would jump in, jump out, jump in, jump out, all over the place.
Yeah, patience is a big thing with trading stocks, because if you if you've entered a stock correctly and you feel good about the investment, you got to have enough patience to let the stock do what you believed it was going to do. But also as a person who is a trader, if you will, in the stock market, you have to be patient. There's enough things that you're inundated with every single day, from the family, the TV, the radio, life. You've got to let things play out. So you need to be a bit more patient.
Yeah. So if it's somebody like me, who's just going to start trading stocks, or start looking into the stock market, right? So it's been very easy for me in my investment career, kind of like what you said. I have a job, they have a 401k, they match the 401k. I'm going to put in the amount of money I want to, let them match it, let the 401k grow. And I would say the majority of people, that's how they invest, right? And it's not a bad way of investing, right? Very safe way. Normally your money's going to grow and all that. So this is different. So for me, I had always done it that way, but I wanted to, learn a little bit more about it, right? So how do you tell somebody to get started in learning that? And we're going to talk about let me say this, we're going to get through your transition here a little bit. We won't get specific on numbers, but we'll talk about it because, let's go ahead and jump into this, because this is why you're able to teach people what you do, right? And why people look at you. And I'm going to be your biggest testimony right here. I'll start the testimony from the beginning. When you started trading stocks, or went back to this, when you stopped doing Uber, you said, I'm going to trade stocks. I'm going to jump back in and do that. I'm like, okay, good to go. I basically ignored everything that you said, because I was so focused on my own crap and just making things happen. And then we talked a couple months later and you're like, this is how I'm doing. And my eyes kind of went, holy moly. And then, we just kept talking about it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm here to be your testimony and say everything that you're about to say is true. I have witnessed it. And this is not we're not making this up. Right. So right. I just want to say that. So start talking about that. Why? Yeah. Why did you just jump to it? Why? And how did you?
It just, you could get to a point, I think, if you have a certain skill set, at some point you have to decide to use it. And, money has been tight for a long, long time. My wife and I years ago decided that we would just be a one job household, if you will. I can't think of the appropriate terms, so she could stay home and raise the kids. And so when March got here and my brother asked me about some stocks, it just, part of that was a trigger. It had been on my mind. And then I just finally decided, you know what? I'm going to rob Peter to pay Paul. And I wouldn't suggest anybody do this. I took money from the bills before they were due, put it in the stock market because I was confident in what I was doing and I had the right skill set to do it. And then I would put the money back. And then, thankfully, my wife didn't get too upset. She handled it well. And we began to move forward as far as growing that number. And then over the last 10 months, I took it from about $5,000 to a very healthy amount of money, a large number. I'll say that.
Yes, I'll say that too. Shocking. But you had to know what you're doing. I mean, you had to really kind of dive in and really kind of just, you already had the background, but you had to kind of wade in and a lot of research, right?
Yeah, there is a lot of homework you got to do. Stocks are not for everybody, and that is why I think most people just go with the status quo. They'll do the mutual funds. It's pretty safe. Everyone does it. And that's the norm. And then stocks for a lot of people, and not so much as much anymore, is more of a scarier proposition because it requires you to do a bit more homework, or at least hire a broker. Um, and there have been some very, very not so great outcomes that have come from people investing in the stock market, like today with GME and AMC and OK. The number of companies that have had their stock run up and run down, and a lot of investors, I'm sure, got hurt, as well as a lot of hedge funds. So, it's a different sort of animal that people can learn to trade stocks, but it requires time. It requires getting your hands dirty. It requires all the things that I talked about: patience, emotional discipline, vision, a trading plan. We'll talk more about that at another time. Good money management techniques, all of it. It's not just throw the money in there, although it has worked out that way for some people. Like, some people bought Tesla 2 months ago in the 400s and it doubled in 2 months. So a lot of ups and downs.
Yeah, a lot of ups and downs. And yeah, you have to be careful, right? Because it can run and all that up and down and all over the place very fast. Mm-hmm. So I think one of the reasons why a lot of people don't like jump in and do that is because you have to have time, right? So for you, this is now your job. Mm-hmm. You start in the morning and you go all day, and you go to bed. And as we were just joking, sometimes you wake up in the night and you start thinking about it and you don't go back to sleep.
Right.
There's so much on your mind. But so it's kind of a full-time job. So let's kind of take people through, and let me back up too. The reason why we're talking about this too tonight is because within Convene communities, and like I told, and somebody just said this. So somebody said, show me how I need to get out of debt, right? So show me how. And so inside of the Convene communities, you have created a training course, multiple training courses. You have your own community. It's called Stone Eye. And so this is a great story behind the name. I love it. So we'll get to that. But inside of this community, for the person that's asking, that's what you do. You teach the basic fundamentals. There's a lot of fundamentals, but you teach the basic fundamentals of, investing. And then also you can have access, through some of your groups, and you can explain that, to have one-on-one conversations with you or group conversations with you and group training where you're talking. So let's talk a little bit about that. It is a great community within Convene. It's one that I would say currently the majority of people, when they find out about this community, it has created the most interest of people. People are normally like, hey, I want to be a part of that community, because everybody wants to make more money, right? Everybody makes the world go round. You and I used to say to each other, give your analogy of $100.
Yeah, $100 is meaningful money. And I think, for most American families, having an extra $100 means something. And, $100 takes my family out to the movies. $100 takes us to the Olive Garden. $100 is meaningful money for a lot of people. And if you can help people make money, then I think that's an amazing thing, because so many people struggle. You've heard me say it before, almost 80% of the American population lives paycheck to paycheck in the wealthiest nation in the world. And, and I don't know if that, where the responsibility lies. Obviously, it's in the individual, but part of that is our system. They don't teach a whole lot of money stuff in high school. They don't teach a whole lot of money stuff in college, and they don't certainly teach a whole lot of money stuff at your job. And then you find yourself busy with life and kids and school and family and all that other stuff. And you just do what we talked about earlier, which is, okay, I need to make some money. Let me put it in the 401k at work. And so, $100 is meaningful money. We've had that conversation many, many times.
Yeah, it sure is. So let's talk about Stone Eye. Where did the name come from?
Yeah, when I was thinking about a name and I was thinking about what I wanted to do, Jim Rohn, Rohn, God rest his soul, is quite a motivational speaker, and he would talk about finding a way to serve the many, because service to many leads to greatness. And so you want to find a way. How can I help people? But before you can help people, you've got to be able to help yourself. And so the name comes from the Bible. I took a verse where Jesus was talking to people, and he said, first get the stone out of your own eye so that you can see clearly to get the plank out of your brother's eye. And so, if you kind of take what he said there and make it into just a mantra, first get your own act together, or get your own financial house together, so that I can see clearly to help Matt, help him with whatever he needs, or Sue or Bob or Bill or whoever that is. First get yourself together so you can help other people. So Stone Eye,
Yeah, I think it's a great name. I think it's an outstanding name, because it's true. You got to get yourself together, get some clarity, and then you can teach others. All right, so you created a community inside of Convene. So let's talk about that. And then we're going to break down some of the basics of investing and some of the thought processes that people might need to learn.
Sure. Stone Eye, of course, is housed in the Convene communities. For those of you you don't know, here's a 30-second infomercial. Convene allows you to build your own communities. You can become a premier member and build your own courses, create content. You can create paid access groups. You can become a free affiliate, earn income. You can just be an individual who uses the platform to be able to get value from the experiences of others. And so with the platform, I created my own community to be able to help people help themselves by hopefully teaching them what I know about the stock market. So I've created an introductory course called Intro to Stocks to help people learn the basics, which is free. And then I have some paid access groups. One I believe is incredibly affordable, called All Access. It's $50 a month, where I provide experiences for you. Experiences meaning content that will teach you, as well as a vlog that's under the blog section, as well as I'll do either a weekly Zoom call or every couple of weeks, depending on what group you're in, to be able to help people learn. There's a message board, there's a discussion feature. There's a whole lot of functionality for me to help you learn what I've learned, so that you don't have to learn it the hard way. So those are the groups.
Yeah. So let's give an example. BLSP. All right. So that's one of the stocks that's out there right now. And so in buying the stock, you will educate us on, hey, there's a stock called BSLP, and BLSP, not BSLP, LSP.
BLSP. Uh-huh.
Yeah, BLSP. And so you talked through in a video, hey, this is why I'm looking at BLSP. These are the trends that I'm seeing. This is why I'm going to buy it, right?
Right.
So it's an educational process. So just talk about that video and talk a little bit about that educational process that you took people through in that, and why that's important.
Yeah, ideally, and before then, I'd like to be able to provide them stocks that they should review, because I'm not a registered investment advisor. Although I used to have all my investment licenses, I used to be a financial planner at Ameriprise Financial Services. I used to work for the Vanguard Group. But I need to make that clear. This is not me telling you what you should do. I'm going to provide you with some content, and hopefully it'll educate you to spell out to you, this is why you would buy this stock now. Now, whether you choose to buy the stock now, that'll be entirely up to you. And so if I put some of that in video form to walk you through charting, to walk you through, the concepts, to walk you through everything that goes into arriving at a decision to buy at a particular entry point, and to give you a glimpse into as to where one would consider selling it. That is what I'm trying to provide you, because I believe if you learn it and you learn it well, and again, it'll take some time, you can live anywhere in the world. Anywhere in the world that has internet access. You could work for yourself. And if none of those things appeal to you and you love your job, which is certainly fine, at least if you learn the skills and you start to create more net income, it's going to help your family. And we just had the conversation about what $100 means. I hope that $100 always means something to me. But I know that there are a lot of people, because I've been there, that struggle. Like $100, having $100 or two extra, that means a lot to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So if I can help you, if I can demystify, if you will, the stock market and just teach you over time, and I may not be the world's best teacher, and I'll just keep trying to improve. But if you listen to what I'm telling you, and you take the modules and you take good notes and you have discussions with me or in the discussion board on the platform, you will learn how to do this well, because it's not rocket science.
It's not. So let's back up. We're going to back up a little bit, and we'll get to a list of all the courses and stuff that you have in there, like the topics that you talk about. But I'm just going to jump to some specifics. Like one of the big questions I had, and I think this is great the way you do it, is like, how in the world do I even start to find what stocks I would even look for, right? Because there's thousands of stocks. There's stocks, I mean, there's, NOK, there's BLSP, TSNP, there's, you name it, just a bunch of letters that mean nothing. And so how do you know it's a good stock? How do you know it's a bad stock? How do you even start to do the research? And so that was one of the main questions I had for you. I'm like, okay, Eugene, how do I even start to research what I would even think about buying?
Yeah, I would caution people to be careful who they listen to or where they get their news from. A lot of people have a lot of opinions on what they think is a good stock to buy without really knowing if that's the truth or not. So I always point people to barchart.com, because barchart, if you click on the stocks button in the top left-hand corner, it'll drop down a whole bunch of ideas from, percentage gainers to, stocks that are advancing in the volume, to candlestick patterns, to stocks that are in the top 100 based on their data and all of the technical analysis that's in the system. There are a whole lot of ideas that have been vetted, at least in their system, that's pretty reliable, that would give you choices as to maybe some things that you should consider buying. There's more that goes into it than just that, as it relates to how much volume a stock does, the float, the news, the management, the financials. There's a whole lot of other moving parts, but don't be put off or scared by what I'm telling you. But that's a great starting point, without question.
Yeah. So that's one of the things you told me. And you gave me some other websites to kind of pay attention to. Obviously, TD Ameritrade has some stuff that you can look at. The different websites when you are trading, it's not just, you have to look at it. You got to know what you're trading and see what you're doing. So another thing that's crazy to me, that was crazy to me, you're like, hey, look at the chart, study the chart. I'm like, what the hell do you mean by look at the chart, study the chart? And you're like, you have to understand and look at the candles. Like, what do you mean? We lighting candles around here, you know?
Right.
Talk about candles for a minute. I mean, because this is just one thing that you can
Right.
look at. There's so many different things, but this is one.
Candlestick charting, I believe, was created more than 100 years ago by some folks in Japan. And if it's the candles, if it's a green candle, and there are different patterns with candles, it will mean certain things. If it's red and it's in a particular length or shape, it will mean something different. But charting allows you a visual picture. I mean, you can see where it has come from, and it will give you an idea of possibly where it's going. And so I would highly encourage anyone who's going to get into stocks to learn candlestick charting. If you can't learn it all at a rapid speed, you need to go into bar chart and click on candlestick patterns. And under there, it will give you the name of the candlestick pattern, and it'll give you the definition, whether it's bullish or bearish. And then it's going to tell you how many stocks fit that pattern. And so you marry up your trade style, your trade setups, certain sort of stocks that you look for or setups that you look for with the candlestick patterns, and you eventually develop your own trading style, and that can be very, very helpful for someone who's new.
All right. So one question for you. And there's so many different ways. And so I asked you about the candles and all that to kind of lead to this question. And you were kind of going there, but there's so many different ways to trade stocks, so many different things that you can possibly do in trading stocks. You can, trade options. You can do all kinds of stuff. I don't even know. I couldn't even begin to start telling you. You have a specific way that you have traded, and it has been very successful for you. So talk about the 3 principles in trading that you go by and that have helped you be successful. And in part of that, these candle stick graphs are extremely important in your trading.
Yeah, it's probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 things. It's being mentally in the right space, which we talked about at the beginning of the show, is paramount to your success. Having a trading plan, what kind of stocks do you trade? And I started to talk about it with candlesticks. For me, it is, I like to buy breakouts, stocks that are going to break out based on the pattern. And I like to buy stocks that have run a lot in a hurry, like GME and AMC and all the rest of them here the last few days. And then I like for them to come back down a certain percentage to me, because I know that the certain percentage that it comes back, that it retraces back, meaning if it ran from 1 to 10, it's up 9. I want it to come back almost to 4 or 3.5, because the downside risk is so small from there. And so you develop a certain trading style. You look for certain trade setups. Another core thing that has to exist in what you do is good money management, protecting your gains and ensuring that you don't lose too much money. It's much easier to protect the money that you have versus worrying about trying to make money on the money you have. Those things are the hallmarks of what I do.
Yeah. And I can tell you there's lessons learned there, and you and I have talked about it, but there's lessons learned there for you. There's been a few lessons learned there for me. Last night I was trying to get I set a stop limit trying to get to a sell. And basically it went after hours, and I didn't understand, it's an education thing, that goes away after hours. So as that stock came flying back through, I'm thinking, oh, I'm good. I just sold it. Well, guess what? I didn't do. I didn't sell it. So, that was just something that I had not educated myself yet on. So, again, just one of the things to learn. Question for you here by one of our listeners. This guy named Jason Deal says, Downtown Brown, question for investors that may only be able to start with less than 500. How do you recommend that they start?
Carefully. I started with $472. And what I would tell somebody, if $500 is what you have, you really probably should start with 2 stocks. And then, as always, if you have $100,000, you want to wade in the water. You don't want to put all your money in one basket. If you have $500, you do 250 and 250. And the 250 you have here, maybe you do $50, $50, and $150. So you buy the stock 3 times. Because no matter how long I've been doing this, I'll be wrong every day. The goal is to be right. For me, the goal is about 6.5 times out of 10. If you can be consistently correct and you're consistently good at making 8% on your money, 10% on your money, like Jason knows, I sent you guys out. I said, hey, you guys should probably buy SENS right here at $2 a share because it looks like a steal to me. And so the example would be, getting good at making 10%, within an hour, it already had gone 10%. And I think, I don't know what it's at now. It's probably 260, 270. So you've made 30% on your money over the last week. I don't think it's even been a week since I told people that. So you just want to get good at the recognition of what should be done. And again, if you're starting with $500, don't put all your eggs in one basket, split the money up and split the purchase up. And then I would tell you to have some goals. You're not going to get rich overnight, although, people spent $500 on GameStop and, maybe they're up 4 or 5 times their money or a lot more in the last few days because of the short squeeze. But have a plan, have a year's plan, what's it going to look like a year from now? And that's what I've done. I always do it. I got my planner right here and I've got the goals mapped out for the entire year. And I do it on a weekly basis. If the goal is to be at whatever, $100,000 at the end of the week, and then the next week, maybe, 110. And then, every single week there's a goal that I'm trying to hit. And if you do that with a longer term vision, which I mentioned at the top of the podcast, that will keep you grounded and hopefully keep you focused and hopefully help you in your discipline. Remember, 3 buys. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. If you have $500, don't spend all 5 on one stock because you may have picked the wrong stock. Absolutely.
And it can definitely happen. An example would be I dove in. Everybody dove in on this stock a couple weeks ago. Great storyline, OCGN. Yeah. Everybody's all excited. Wendy Zanders knows about some OCGN. And good things still, I think, are going to come out of that stock. But it's just been kind of just sitting there, turning.
Moved up a little bit, though, here lately.
Moved up today a little bit. But it's just been sitting there turning, and it's a COVID stock. They're waiting for the phase 3 testing numbers to come out. Once those phase 3 testing numbers come out, who knows what this stock is going to do. But to your point, that takes patience.
Yes.
Right? That takes patience. It's not a quick, Wendy said OCG pains me right now. But good movement today. And I think there's going to end up being good movement going forward, with OCGN. But again, it's like you just said, you can get into a situation and, as you call it, become married to the stock. So
married to the stock. It happens to the best of us.
He's married to OCGN.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, getting married to a stock is what you don't want to do if you're a trader. And also remember, you got to do what is right for you. Some people don't. You don't have to trade the stocks every day. Maybe you're more of a position trader, where you take a position in a stock, you accumulate it, and you're buying it, and you're going to hold it for a little bit of a longer term. Whatever that term is, that's up to you. But you're taking a position, and maybe you're a 2 to 3, 4 week kind of trader where you really like to let it play out. And that's a great way to be too, because some people don't have the time to be a day trader, to be able to be in and out of stocks. And I wouldn't recommend that for people unless you really knew what you're doing, because it's a great way to lose a lot of money.
Yeah. So Jason also asked, on the $500, would you recommend a long-term investment on a portion? Now I'll say this: if you're using TD Ameritrade, one of the things that'll get you is really kind of just ties your hand, right? The round trip. And I talked to Eugene about this: the round trip, the round trip, the round trip. So talk a little bit about a round trip and what that means and why. I mean, this is true. If you go to BLSP and TNSP, those are long-term for me. Those are long-term trades. I'm in it.
What was Jason's question?
He said, of the 500, do you recommend long-term investment on a portion of that?
It's up to the individual. You first of all shouldn't invest with money you can't afford to lose, would be the first thing. And then, whatever that time horizon looks like for a person, obviously it's different for everybody. If I'm more apt to trade stocks and be more of a position trader and hold things for, 5 days and kind of turn the money, that's different than, I don't know what Jason's long-term is. Is it long-term 5 months, or is it several years? But I would just really try to understand the fundamentals first, and then work through all the rest of the time horizons and all the rest of the stuff. I always say so many times, learn to trade well and not often. Yep. So whatever that looks like for you, that would be the answer. So it is up to the individual, Jason. As far as the second part of that, Matt, you were saying what?
So let's give an example. And we're going to use, because one of the questions that came earlier by Braden is he wanted to get your opinion on basically he wanted to get your opinion on what you thought about AMC, GameStop, Robinhood, all the stuff that's going on. Now with that, this is a great example, because we can talk about, even with the volatility of AMC, you were trading it today because it worked for you. And that's because you had the flexibility and the ability to be able to do that, where somebody who can't get a bunch of round trips, just a concept,
that was your question,
not do it. You're kind of stuck. All right. So talk about that. Talk about first the situation of today, and then build to.
Okay, sure. The situation today was, if you turned on the news, it was all over the place. Senator Warren, Elizabeth Warren was talking about it. Mark Cuban, everybody was talking about it. And it's that a few stocks have run hard. And the poster child for it is GameStop, the video game maker that you see in the mall. That stock I owned a few weeks back at maybe like $13 a share. It touched $500 a share just from like 3 weeks ago. And I said to my wife this morning, I said, this is insanity. What is going on? And so a number of companies have run up hard. There's some groups on Reddit, and folks have collectively gotten together and have decided to, en masse, buy particular securities. And on the other side of this fence, why it ran so hard part of it is because of the short interest, where people have taken a position betting the stock was going to go down, and they have a large short interest in it. And the SEC has not regulated part of the shorting business, if you will, because they're allowing a lot of naked shorting and a whole lot of stuff that's not really for this this podcast. But just suffice to say that there's a healthy amount of money that was bet one direction. And then when people started buying this company, buying, it's forced the hedge funds to start to cover. And with all of this buying, it drove the stocks incredibly high at an incredibly fast pace. And a lot of people made a lot of money. And it cost the hedge funds, I think the figure I heard was like $5 billion over the last few days. And so, on the news, now CNBC is involved, and they're talking about the retail investor and, trying to look out for the little guy. But if you were really trying to look out for the little guy, you would have done your work by regulating the industry better. I'm speaking about the SEC, the Securities and Exchange Commission. They would have done what they should have done. So I don't feel bad for the hedge funds. I feel bad for, I don't feel bad for them either. I don't feel bad for the people who jumped into something they knew nothing about. A lot of them, I'm sure, made a lot of money, and some of them bought near the top, say $500 a share, and the stock fell like a rocket, in concert with CNBC News and everything that was out there, the brokerage firms, Robinhood, all of them limiting what folks could do. And so the stock, I think, finished up at maybe $200 something a share. So having said all that, you were talking about round trips. When you have a new account, you can't get in and out of stocks without penalty if your balance is less than $25,000. You can only do so many what they're called round trips, meaning you bought it and you sold it either in the same day, or you bought it and you never let it settle. The trade didn't settle. Typically it's 2 plus 1, 2 days plus 2 days plus another day usually, to let the trade settle. And so anyway, if you got caught buying GME at $400 a share, and you could get your account restricted if you sold that same security during the same day without it settling. But it would have been worth it if you made a ton of money.
Yeah, absolutely. So for you, you can do that. And this is one of the ways you trade. So just for everybody, this is an example, right? So for you, you're able to, as AMC today was running from $8 to $12 to $8 to $12. And it did this all day. It was going back and forth and back and forth. And it really was pretty predictable, right? That it was going to go up here and it was going to go back to here. And it was like running in the channel, but it was swinging a few dollars at a time. So for you, and I'm not saying you did, because I don't know, but for you, that's what, you're looking for those patterns. You're looking for those candlesticks. You're looking for those buy opportunities and the sell opportunities, right? So
yeah, that's one of that's the third thing that I look for. I love breakouts. I love stocks that have run up and come back. And the third thing I love is a stock that is very, very active all over the place, because if you know how to trade, you can make a lot of money. Like NAKD, I bought it. It ran up to $3.20 something cents. I knew where to get out, got out. They dove it down. I bought it when I was on the phone with you. I was like, hold on, I'm loading up. And I was reloading at whatever it was, $1.40 something, whatever it was, yesterday after hours. Reloaded, ran back up this morning pre-market, sold it again, came back. You can do a lot of that, but you have to know what you're doing. And if you do know what you're doing, then it's a very profitable thing.
Yeah. So Ryan just said, and this is kind of what we're talking about here. Ryan George just said, Eugene, are your goals or parameters to sell based on a percentage of gain or a dollar gain? So
neither really. What I'm just looking to do is trade well. whatever it ends up being, that's what it ends up being. I don't have I'm trying to make 30% on this trade or none of that. When I recognize where I should buy it, I'm looking at I'm so used to looking at the monitor and where I should sell it. When it's time to sell it, that's it. The goal is always to trade well. It's not a percentage. It's not the money. Sure, I'm sure there's a calculation somewhere in your brain where, you'd like to make X amount of dollars, but the money's always secondary. Primary goal is to trade well. The money's just going to follow you if you trade well. And I can assure you, it works.
Yeah. So Jason says, Eugene, how does an individual gauge their risk level? We have all answered the question that the typical banks Edward Jones company asks. Does it generally come down to how much you can afford to lose?
I don't know. I think it just generally comes down to how well you'll sleep at night, but I also think, your risk level will increase, if you will, with knowledge. The smarter you are with it, the more you understand it, I think you'll find that you're like, oh, it's really not that risky, depending on obviously what you're investing in. But the overall proposition, as far as whatever you're investing, if you can't sleep well at night, then you probably are in the wrong business. You probably should give your money to a mutual fund company. But the more you know, I think the more peaceful you'll be about what you're doing. Just like anything. Successfully. And it's no different in the stock. The more you know, the more you
quick, we'll make sure we're back going. And so let's talk about the course. Let's kind of give people an idea of what is in the course, because I think you have 24 modules in the one course. So just talk about how you walk through. We've already talked a little bit about the I'll give you an example in the talk.
So you were saying?
All right, we're back. All right, we're back on. We good, Stezo? I'm frozen. I'm frozen like this, like on Facebook. All right, so we're back. We're back. Hopefully everybody's watching didn't drop off. So last weekend we had homework. We did modules 1 and module 2. And with doing module 1 and module 2, you also gave us 2 stocks to look at and break down. And then we came in on our call on Monday and we reviewed modules 1 and module 2. And we actually talked about those 2 different stocks, which was great. I thought it was outstanding because it really kind of gave me an idea of one from the homework. And I ended up going up through module 4 from the homework, though it gave me an idea of going and reviewing these 2 stocks, which we were able to talk about. So talk about what are in the modules. What are in the 24 modules that are in this one course? And I know you're going to be adding a lot more stuff to it, but just talk about what do you break down in the classes?
Yeah, and the group that I failed to mention yet where a lot of the stuff is a group called Shadow, and it's a paid access group, and I have a number of modules in there, and the goal is to be able to provide people with as much knowledge as I can to help you understand how I do it, and also the overall picture of what one should learn and what one should know if they're going to trade stocks. So there's a lot of concepts and philosophies in there. There's a lot about charting. There's a lot about, different platforms. There's a lot of um, stock examples. If I'm walking you through on a Zoom call, pointing out certain things so that you can get dialed into the thinking, there's going to be a lot of different things to help you learn. I don't know that I'm the world's best teacher, but I'll learn it. I'll figure out where my flaws are, and I'll just keep adding the modules. But the good thing is, and the most important thing about the Convene Communities platform is it allows for two-way conversation. If you put something in the discussion board, I'm going to see it. I'm going to get a notification. If you put something in the experience in the message board, I'm going to see it. So it's going to help you learn versus me just putting something out there and I can't interact with you. It is a paid group. It's not for everybody. In the group that is the all access group that I mentioned earlier, there'll also be modules and everything else in those groups as well.
Yeah. And it's really cool. Like I said, it's so funny because I'm like, hey, Eugene, what should I do? And you're like, did you check out that module yet? Because I mean, as I start to expand my mind about every question that I come to you and ask, you've already done some training on, and that's what I've learned, over the time, so which is really, really cool. Jason said, Eugene, would you rather be a tiger or a shark, and why?
Probably a tiger.
Yeah.
And although the shark is not really the king of the jungle in the water, I believe it's the orcas. What are those things? What are they called? Killer whales are the king of the ocean in there. A tiger, it hunts, and it goes along with what I love to do in the stock market is hunt down the right stocks. And then once I've got a hold of it, just like NAKD the other day, once I understand what I'm looking at, I hunt it down, and then I know exactly what to do. And you can make a lot of money really understanding a particular trade, just like I showcased with BLSP, did the same thing with NAKD, did the same thing with GNUS, did the same thing a number of times over the last 10 months where I've had some really strong winners. So the answer to your question, a tiger, Jason.
I like it. That's funny. So we only got a couple more minutes with Eugene talking about stocks. If you got any more last minute questions that you want to ask him, Eugene, in the meantime, while we see if anybody else has got any other questions, tell them how they can find you. And one thing that we will do is I'll have Eugene come in and put his affiliate link in here after, on Facebook. So you can come back to this podcast, and his affiliate link will be in there. That'll take you straight to his community. So talk to people about how they can get there and things that they can do to find you.
Yeah, the first thing I would say is, you can send me a text message at 980-522-8383, 980-522-8383, in case you need to have a conversation about where you're at, what you're trying to get done, and how maybe I can assist you helping yourself. Inside of the Convene Communities platform, it's free for you to join. You have to join the platform first, then you go join the community, which is Stone Eye. And you can take the free introductory course. You can look around, and that's really the best way to get me, which would be on the platform. And you can send me a message through the system. And if you have any problems using the system, because we're a newer company, just pretty much launching, then let me know that as well, and I'll be able to assist you with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, Eugene is my right-hand man. He's been part of the growth of this over the last couple of years. We've done some amazing things. So, our growth trajectory is, we're on the move. A lot of great things have happened. And it's exciting to see your community being one that is getting such good positive interaction. I know I love being, I'm the owner of Convene. It's my thing, right? It's my baby, but I love, how you're doing it. I love your community. I think it's a lot of good growth and a lot of good learning is going on. Because one of the things that makes Convene different, you're not just sending us and I've said this multiple times. So listen to me. You're not just sending me to a course and saying, hey, go through these modules here, go through these courses, these experience. We call them experiences. Go through these experience. And then I don't ever talk to you, or I don't ever hear from you, or there's no interaction. Everything that we do, there's interaction with you, to include, the weekly Zoom call, if you're part of that particular community. And that's great. So you're learning the concept, but now you're getting to ask you about the concept and getting ready to expand on it. And then again, like I said, I knew it was a loaded question when you said, look at the stocks for Monday. And I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to the damn class, not prepared. So, and lo and behold, the damn teacher asked me, well, Matt, tell me about this stock. So it's not nice.
Yeah, the very thing we covered in that particular meeting, GNUS, it went up a lot. I said if it broke through 180-ish, hit 320 yesterday, I believe it was. So that was just a few days ago. So anyway, but it's come back down and we're in the low twos. But all I would say is, guys, if you think trading stocks is for you, reach out to somebody. If it's not me, reach out to somebody that can teach you how to do it. I believe you could teach yourself how to do it with enough effort. But the thing that I hope to provide is lessons learned, a way forward without learning it the hard way. There's a lot to be said for learning things the hard way, but you try not to do it with your money, because the environment we're in with COVID and people waiting on stimulus checks and people in the house a lot more, layoffs, people trying to figure out a way to make more money at home. This is a great opportunity. On the flip side of that, there are a lot of people that are thriving, so don't get me wrong. 2020 was the best year almost of my life financially. Loved it. It was a great year. But if you're going to make a change, investing, learning how to invest, learning how to trade is a very, very, very good option, because you can do it right at home, set your own hours. The stock market is open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So you could trade all day or move money all day. If you learn the skill of moving money, creating more money from money, there's not too many better skills to have, because we all need the money. We all have to have it to pay the bills, to buy the groceries, to put the kids in college, whatever that is. You have to have money. And if I can do my part to help you guys make money, learn how to do it, then that'll be good. I'll have gotten the stone out of my own eye, and to help somebody else get the stone out of their eye, and that will be good for all involved.
So I told you, and again, I'll throw my disclaimer, right? I might not be typical, but I have followed you. This is your best testimony right here, and you know this. In the short time that I've been going at it, I've almost doubled what I put in.
That's good.
That doesn't happen for everybody. I could lose it all tomorrow.
Right.
But I've studied. I've studied and been listening to you. So
Good.
My point is, Eugene, you've been a great teacher to me. Like I said, but it's not easy. I'm putting the work in, trying to, and I don't even know nothing yet. What I know is very, very small, but I think it's a great thing that you're doing. I'm so glad, again, you're part of Convene. We're growing something special with Convene. So there is the stocks piece, but the stock piece is just one piece. With Convene, we're we're really growing and making a difference in a lot of people's lives. And the way you're doing it is just as important. So I love it. So I'll let you take us out of here. Stizo, as always, thanks for having us on tonight. We'll see you next Thursday. Everybody come next Thursday. We're going to be talking with Jason Berry will be on with me. We're going to talk about a course that we're launching, and it is a mastermind. Jason Berry is a business coach with Action Coach, and between Jason, myself, Eugene, Jeff Bateson, the other main people with inside of Convene, Jason is going to teach business concepts, and then we are going to take those business concepts and tell you how you can succeed using Convene, just like Eugene Brown is doing, just like Lisa Herring is doing, just like Wendy Zanders is doing. Just a lot of our main people that are a part of Convene are really taking off, and their communities are going great. So next week, Thursday night, will be Jason Berry. So take us out of here, Eugene.
Have nothing else to add. Wash your hands, stay COVID free, take care of yourself, make 2021 a great year. If I can be of service, certainly let me know. If not, wish you all the best, and thanks for watching tonight.
All right. Everybody have a good night.